Hey, what's up, Coin Fam? In this video, we're going to talk about a whole bunch of valuable dimes. Some of these can even be found in pocket change. I'm going to tell you about some details on these coins that most people don't know about that could make your dime worth a lot of money. Make sure you pay close attention to the whole video. There are some details and instructions in here that might make it well worth your time. Let's get right into it. Hey, what's up, Coin Fam? This dime right here sold at auction for $456,000. Let's find out why. This is the 1975 No S dime. It's one of the most valuable dimes ever known. And this is a 1975 No P dime worth 10 cents. I'll tell you where to look for one of these coins in a minute, but here's a hint. You're not going to find one of these in your pocket change. If you find a 1975 dime with no mint mark in your pocket change, you're looking at one of over 585 million no mint mark business strike dimes minted at the Philadelphia Mint. Business strike dimes minted in Philadelphia aren't supposed to have a mint mark, and unless they're in really good condition or if they have a rare variety or error, they're only worth 10 cents. If you want to try your luck at the No S dime, you're going to have to look at mint sets. There were over 2.8 million proof dimes minted in San Francisco in 1975, and they have an S mint mark. Proof dimes are minted for collectors and have a much better strike and a shiny finish due to specially polished dies. The proof dimes were displayed in these plastic cases and sold with other denominations for the same year as mint sets. The No S dimes were first discovered in 1975 when an unknown woman bought 5 mint sets from the U.S. Mint, and she noticed that 2 of the dimes in the mint sets didn't have the S mint mark on them. So far, out of the 2.8 million mint sets from 1975, only 2 of them are known to be the No S variety. That doesn't mean there aren't any more out there. There could be undiscovered 1975 No S dimes sitting in a mint set in your grandfather's closet right now. Finding one of these dimes can help set you up for retirement. You'll find the mint mark on this 1975 S on the front of the coin above the year right here. If your 1975 mint set dime is missing that S, you're halfway there to becoming a millionaire. How does a coin error like this happen? Well, in 1975, the San Francisco Mint was assisting the Philadelphia Mint with coin production. This would explain why San Francisco would be in possession of no mint mark dies from Philadelphia. The theory is that one of these Philadelphia dies was used during the minting process during at least a partial run of the proof dimes. This is a 1964 Roosevelt dime graded mint state 67. This coin has a mint error called a die cap. A die cap is when the coin gets stuck in the die and the edges start to curl up around the die like a bottle cap. This is an obverse die cap because the coin was stuck to the obverse die. No detail can be seen on the back of this dime. This die cap dime sold for $2,640. Prior to 1965, dimes were minted on a planchet made of 90% silver. In 1965, the circulation strike dimes were struck on a copper and nickel clad planchet. Not this one, though. This is a 1965 Roosevelt dime struck on a silver planchet. It was graded AU58, which means about uncirculated. This is the grade right below mint state. This silver dime sold at auction for over $8,900. In 1965, the U.S. Mint changed the metal composition of the circulated dime from 90% silver to copper and nickel clad. This is called a transition year. It's always good to weigh your transition year coins to see if it was struck on the old planchet. Dimes from 1964 and earlier should weigh 2.5 grams. Copper nickel-clad dimes minted 1965 and later should weigh about 2.27 grams. This 1965 nickel graded mint state 62. It weighed in at 2.5 grams, but the copper nickel planchet should weigh 2.27 grams. Because this dime was minted on the old silver planchet, it sold at auction for $14,400. Is this a penny or is it a dime? It depends on which side you're looking at. This mule dime was struck on a penny planchet. The obverse die was the correct penny die, but it was muled with a reverse dime die, resulting in this one-of-a-kind coin. This dime was minted in Philadelphia in 1999 and graded Mint State Red by PCGS. The color designation comes from the patina of the penny and can be either red, brown, or red-brown. This penny-dime combo sold at auction for $138,000. Talk about toning. The orange, red, and purple on the front and back of this dime look awesome. This silver dime was minted in 1955 at the Philadelphia Mint. It graded Mint State 68 on a scale from 1 to 70 by PCGS. This Roosevelt dime sold at Heritage Auction for $9,300. This is a 1969 Denver minted dime. You can see a line going rim to rim from the 11 o'clock position to the 5 o'clock position. If you didn't know any better, you might attribute this to PMD or post-mint damage, but this error is the result of a split die. Maybe there was a problem with how the die was created, or maybe the die was just overworked, but at some point a crack developed over the entire diameter of the die. This dime has seen a little wear. It was submitted to Annex for grading and came back about uncirculated 58 on a scale from 1 to 70. This dime sold at auction for over $100. $2,880 is what you can expect to be paid if you sell one of these dimes right here. This is a 1980 Denver minted dime. It graded Mint State 66 with the full band designation. This coin is only 4 grades shy of the highest grade of 70 on the Sheldon coin grading scale. This dime doesn't have a date because it was struck between 2 reverse dies. Another example of mint mischief going on at the U.S. Mint. This dime was graded by PCGS and came in at a Mint State 64. It sold for $26,400. Here's a rough-looking 1959 Roosevelt dime. This dime is made up of 90% silver because it was minted before 1965. There's no error on this coin, and it doesn't look like it's in good shape. Or does it? Would you believe this dime graded Mint State 68? The discoloration is natural toning, and that doesn't affect the grade. It was even given the full band designation. It's a good thing this dime wasn't cleaned. It would have severely affected the value of the coin. This dime sold at auction for $8,812. Here's a no-date dime graded Mint State 65. This dime sold at auction for $42,300. What's so special about this dime, and why is it an oval shape like a football? Because it was struck on a nail. There are more questions about how this happened and how it got out of the mint than there are answers. Either way, this dime struck on a nail sold for $42,300. Here's an odd one. There's no date on this one because it was covered up when somehow it found its way between 2 penny dies. The Lincoln cent was struck over top of the dime off-center about 75% on both the front and the back of the dime. This oddity sold at auction for $2,300. Next up is the 1982 No P Roosevelt dime. This dime graded Mint State 67 by NGC with an FT designation. FT stands for full torch. You might be more aware of the FB, full band designation we've discussed before. In order for an NGC dime to be designated full torch, it needs to have full bands as well as clearly defined vertical lines along the sides of the torch. It might be hard to tell by the picture, but this coin did meet those standards. This could get a little confusing. This dime was minted in Philadelphia, but it doesn't have a mint mark. Most of the time, when you don't see a mint mark, it was minted in Philadelphia, and it's not supposed to have a P mint mark. A 1982 dime is supposed to have a P mint mark if it was minted in Philadelphia. The 1982 No P dime is the first U.S. business strike coin that is missing the mint mark. The other No P dimes I've talked about in other videos were the proof dimes. There were 2 varieties of these dimes. There's a weak strike and a strong strike. This is an indication that there were at least 2 dies used to mint these dimes without a mint mark. It's estimated that there could be as many as 150,000 of these dimes out there, assuming that both dies minted about 75,000 coins each, which is the approximate lifespan of a dime die at this time. This variety was discovered in December of 1982, and most of the 1982 No P dimes discovered were found in Sandusky, Ohio. A lot of them were handed out as change at the amusement park up there. There have been only a few thousand of these found. That means there could be a whole lot more of them in circulation. You have to make searching for the 1982 No Mint Mark dime one of your coin collecting priorities. Even in lower grades, these should bring in $5 to $30 easily. This one that graded Mint State 67 with a full torch sold for over $1,000. Here's an error coin that you won't find in Pocket Change. You'll have to check your 1983 proof set if you have one. Proof dimes were minted in San Francisco in 1983, and each one of them should have the letter S above the year. There were several proof sets for this year that contained proof dimes with no mint mark at all. Don't be fooled by circulation strike no mint mark dimes. A coin without a mint mark usually means it was minted in Philadelphia. This 1983 no mint mark proof dime graded proof 70, the highest grade possible, and it sold at auction for $8,225. Take a look at this next dime. This is a 1981 San Francisco minted Roosevelt dime. It's a proof coin, so it was minted with special dies. Proof coins are minted specifically for coin collectors. It graded proof 68 Ultra Cameo, and this is a mint error coin. This dime was supposed to be struck multiple times because it's a proof coin. Somehow, after the first strike, a blank planchet came in between the dies and was struck between the dime and the die. This caused the obverse of the coin to be thinned out and drawn upward, resulting in a stretched appearance of Roosevelt's portrait to include an extra long nose. You can see ghost images on the back of this dime. This rare dime error was sold at auction for $2,185. This is a 1972 San Francisco minted proof coin. Proof coins are specifically made for collectors. They have a shiny finish, and they're minted with more pressure for a more crisp look. This dime was double struck. It doesn't look like it lined up properly in the press since both strikes are off-center. This dime should have been included in a proof set, but somehow it made it out of the mint. It was graded proof 65 on a scale from 1 to 70, and it sold at auction for $1,800. Here's our next rare dime. This is a good-looking piece. It's a 1964 Denver minted Roosevelt dime, and this one is a DDR, a double die reverse. The die that was created to mint this dime shifted in between hub strikes that caused doubling of some of the features on the reverse die. Any coin struck with this reverse die should show the same doubling. This DDR was actually shown in the Cherry Picker's Guide. The doubling is most evident on the word America. You can't tell much because of the picture quality. Here's a picture of a different coin with the same error from PCGS. The doubling is much more obvious. This 1964 Denver minted Roosevelt dime graded Mint State 65 and was given the DDR FS 803 designation. It sold at auction for over $2,500. This is a 1920 San Francisco minted Mercury dime. Mercury dimes were minted from 1916 to 1945. This dime was graded by NGC, and it came in at a Mint State 64 FB. The FB designation is for full bands, and this means that the bands on the torch on the back of the coin are minted clearly and show clear separation. A full band designation will increase the value of your dime. This dime was struck off-center about 10% and sold at auction for $1,260. Here's a silver 1956 Roosevelt dime. It's a really good-looking coin, and the toning on it is cool AF. There's no toning on the back, but it does have a healthy set of FB right there. Look at those full bands. This silver dime is actually the finest graded dime for this year and mint mark that PCGS graded, and that adds to a lot of value. It came in at a Mint State 68 on a scale from 1 to 70, and this silver dime brought in $9,987 at auction. Here's another collectible dime from 1980. This one was minted in Denver. As far as grades go, this one is mid-range for Mint State. It graded Mint State 66 with the full bands designation. This dime sold for $2,880, and here's why. Even though a grade of Mint State 66 on a scale from 1 to 70 doesn't seem impressive, there haven't been any 1980 Denver minted dimes that graded higher. In fact, there's only 2 of these known to exist. One was graded by PCGS and the other was graded by NGC. You might want to check your dime album and compare it to the photo grade on PCGS.com and see if it looks like a higher grade than the one right here. Error coins are fun to look for, and a lot of times they're obviously different and easily identifiable as more valuable. This isn't the case with real collectible coins like this one right here. This dime may not look like much. It's a 1999 Denver minted Roosevelt dime. It was graded Mint State 69 FB. FB, or full bands, is a designation referring to the 2 sets of bands around the torch on the reverse of this dime. This picture is too blurry to see the bands. Here's a better one. To qualify for this designation, the coin must grade at least MS60, show full separation between the upper and lower horizontal bands on the torch, and show no significant cuts or marks across the horizontal bands. The image on the left does not qualify for full bands, but the image on the right does qualify for the FB designation. This dime sold at auction for $1,800. We've talked about the 1982 Business Strike No P dime. This is the 1968 No S dime. This is different from the 1982 No P dime because this is a proof coin and it's supposed to have an S mint mark for the San Francisco Mint. Dies were created for these proof coins in Philadelphia and shipped to San Francisco to put into service. The S mint mark was inadvertently left off one of the dies intended to mint proof sets. About 24 examples of this variety have been discovered. There may be more out there, but you're not going to find them in pocket change. You have to check your 1968 proof sets. If your proof set is missing the S mint mark, boom, baby, you found one. This 1968 No S Roosevelt proof dime was graded proof 69 and it sold at auction for $40,800. Take a look at this mint era dime. This is a 1973 proof 68 Ultra Cameo dime minted in San Francisco. This dime was struck 3 times with clash dies. A clash die is a die that comes into contact with another die when no planchet is loaded for minting. This can result in the dies damaging each other by pressing details from one die onto the other die or dies. When clash dies mint coins, you can see the detail from the opposing die that has been transferred to the opposite die. If you look closely, you can see some of the detail from the opposing die on both sides of this dime. This dime sold for $3,840. This is a crazy looking dime error. On first glance, it looks like it's a penny, but on the back of the penny is the reverse of a dime. One of the mint employees loaded the coin press with an obverse penny die and a dime reverse die. This error is referred to a penny muled with a dime reverse. It was graded Mint State 66 red. Not many dimes out there are going to have the red designation. This penny dime combo sold at auction for $114,000. Barber dimes were minted in San Francisco, Denver, Philadelphia, and New Orleans. The Barber dime is named after the cheap engraver Charles E. Barber. It's also known as the Liberty Head dime. There were almost 2.5 million Barber dimes minted in 1893, and there were plans for another year of substantial mintage planned for 1894, but things didn't quite turn out as expected. There was a concern about long-lasting economic recession, and there wasn't much of a need for dimes in 1894. As a result, there were only 24 dimes minted in San Francisco in 1894. Some of these dimes were destroyed to test the metal composition, and only 19 of these dimes actually made it into circulation. Why was there such a low mintage? We don't know for sure, but there are some theories. One theory is that the dimes were minted as a test run for the dies, but there's no evidence to support this theory. Another theory is that these 24 dimes were created for assay purposes, which means that they were created in order to analyze the chemical composition. But this theory also lacks confirmation. The most likely explanation for the 24 coin mintage is that a small amount of coin bullion was left over and it was used. This resulted in a run of the 24 1894S Barber dimes, and there wasn't a need to mint any more of them. So are these proof coins or business strike? Only one set of dies were used to mint these coins, and although they are graded as proof or branch mint proofs, there's no indication from the dies or planchets that there was any extra polishing of the dies or the normal die preparation you would expect to see for proof coins. This is an 1894 Barber dime. It was minted in San Francisco, as you can see by the mint mark, which is located on the back of the coin at the bottom. The 1894S Barber dime is a coin collector's dream, but there were only 9, possibly only 8 of these precious treasures known to exist today. This coin generally sells for over $1 million, but there are reports of private sales for the 1894S Barber dime for over $2 million. This dime is made of 90% silver and 10% copper. Despite the toning on this dime, it's a really nice, bold strike. It's hard for me to believe that something like this can be so sought after and valuable. This 1894 San Francisco minted Barber dime is only one of 24 minted, and only one of 19 put into circulation, and one of 9 known to exist to this day. It graded proof 66 BM on a scale from 1 to 70. The BM next to the grade stands for branch mint. Up until the mid-1960s, almost all proof coins were minted in Philadelphia. PCGS uses this designation for older proof coins that weren't struck in Philadelphia. This extremely rare dime sold at Heritage Auctions for $1,997,500. The United States Mint produced dimes from the 1990s at the Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, the San Francisco Mint, and a very low mintage from the West Point Mint. This is important information to know, and we'll talk about why a little later in the video. You can tell where the dime was minted by looking for the mint mark. The mint mark is located on the head side of the coin, also known as the obverse. It's just above the date on the lower right of the dime. The San Francisco Mint produced proof dimes. A proof is a coin minted specifically for collectors. These coins are struck better and have specialized dies that are carefully prepared and treated with chemicals to produce contrast between the field and relief of the dime. This is referred to as cameo. Look at the difference between Roosevelt's portrait and the mirror-like fields of this dime. Proof dimes were minted in copper and nickel clad from 1990 to 1999, but also minted in silver from 1992 to 1999. How do you know if your dime is silver? There are 2 easy and reliable ways to determine if your coin is silver. The easiest way is to look for a pink band of copper that goes around the edge of the dime. If you see this, your dime is made of copper and nickel, not silver. If you don't see the band, your dime might just be silver. To make sure it's silver, you're going to want to weigh your dime. You can get yourself an inexpensive food scale that measures to the 100th of a gram. A copper nickel-clad dime should weigh about 2.27 grams, and a silver dime should weigh about 2.5 grams. In 1996, to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the Roosevelt dime, 1.4 million dimes were minted at the West Point Mint, and they proudly display the W mint mark. These dimes can rarely be found in circulation because they were only minted as part of the 1996 uncirculated set. According to PCGS, the highest West Point dime graded was Mint State 69 and is valued at about $400. Here's a 1996 West Point dime that sold at auction for $411.24. An important factor in grading and pricing dimes has to do with the detail of the torch. This one was designated full torch. Full torch and full bands are grading designations to explain the quality and detail of the strike of the torch on the reverse of the dime. You may see FB for full bands on PCGS graded coins or FT for full torch on NGC graded dimes. Even though these designations are describing the same thing, there's a different standard applied to the designations by each grading company. PCGS's FB designation requires that the upper and lower bands on the torch are distinct and fully separated. The line between the bands must be full and unbroken. The NGC standard for FT is even more strict. It requires that the bands be distinct as well as the vertical lines of the torch. Here's a price chart from PCGS.com. You can see that prices of proof dimes for the 90s aren't very much. Don't get me wrong, I'll take a dime worth $5 any day of the week, but the prices in this chart are very consistent. When coins are sold at auction, the prices can go through the roof. Here's a 1999 San Francisco minted silver proof dime. It graded a perfect Mint State 70 deep cameo, and it sold at auction for $1,063.75. Take a look at the contrast between the mirror-like finish and the frosted look of the details of this beautiful dime. The majority of dimes produced in the 90s were minted at the Philadelphia and Denver mints. Prices are consistent for the most part, except for some of the FB designations listed for certain dimes. The way these prices differ is based on the rarity of the coin. The charts you see here are for mint state dimes. Don't be discouraged though, it's not uncommon to find mint state coins in circulation from time to time, and there are times when the relative of an everyday collector like you and me might unknowingly put someone's collection back into circulation. I've seen this a few times while coin roll hunting. Let's look at some of the sales for clad dimes so you have an idea what makes the more expensive dimes valuable. Man, I can't believe you've been watching this video this long. If you're still there, go back and take a look at the first 10 minutes of the video. Hit reply to the pinned message and tell me how many Roosevelt dimes I gave prices for. Then send me an email to mintmiser@mintmiser.com and let me know what you did. I'm curious as to how many people listened to the whole video. Here's a 1994 Denver minted dime. This one was graded Mint State 68 on a scale from 1 to 70, and it has a full bands designation. You can see some of the bag marks from coins banging into it on the surface of the dime. Here's the reverse or back of the coin. The top bands look great, but it looks like the bottom band line is obscured by a scratch on the case. This Mint State 68 clad dime sold for $1,680. Here's a 1999 Denver minted dime. It graded Mint State 69 with full bands, a nearly perfect grade. Note how well struck and blemish-free this dime is. It's really a great specimen, and take a look at the reverse. Look how well defined the bands are. The FB designation is well deserved on this one. This dime sold for $1,610. Here's a 1999 Denver minted obverse die cap. A die cap is when a coin gets stuck on the die and comes between the die and the next coin being struck. On the obverse, you can see the bottle cap effect around the edges of the coin. Let's flip this over and take a look at the reverse. Here you can see an indentation in the dime from where successive dimes were struck while this one was attached to the die. These are really cool coins to have in your error collection. This one sold for $1,150. Here's a pretty cool error dime I found on eBay. You really need to be careful if you're buying on eBay. Make sure you know exactly what you're looking at. eBay is full of misidentified coins and errors. A lot of them are just plain fraud. This one's legit though. This is a 1998 Philadelphia minted Roosevelt dime, and it looks like the Cookie Monster got a hold of this one. There's a huge piece of it missing. This is called a clip planchet, or an incomplete planchet. A clip planchet occurs when a planchet isn't cut out of the strip of metal properly. In some cases, a clip planchet can happen when the struck coin isn't properly ejected from the coining process. This one is listed for $500, and it's been graded and slabbed, but I don't think it's going to sell for that much money. How about this 1997 Denver minted dime? This one graded Mint State 68 and has the full bands designation. There's no doubt about how well struck the reverse of this dime is. This one sold at auction for $2,160. That's a lot of money for near-perfect dimes, but you can make money with error dimes if you're lucky enough and if you know what to look for. Here's another dime with a valuable error. This is a 1995 Roosevelt dime. I know it looks like a penny, but it's struck on a dime planchet, and the reverse is the reverse of a dime. It's difficult to know for sure whether an error like this occurred because of carelessness with mint policies related to changing out dies, or if this error was intentionally minted by a mint worker. Regardless of how this happened, Wouldn't it be crazy if one of these was sitting in someone's great-grandfather's change dish and ended up being put back into circulation? If you don't routinely look at the front and back of all of your change, you might miss something like this, a rotated die, or any other error that affects just one side of a coin. I can't stress enough how important it is to look at both sides of your coins if you're looking for coin errors. This dime sold at auction in 2010 for almost $58,000. So maybe you don't have a dime worth $58,000 in your pocket. I hope you learned something from this dime video. If you did, hit that thumbs up button and make sure to share the video on social media. That helps out tremendously. We're quickly approaching 100,000 subs and I could use your help. Thanks for watching.